And welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on it, Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is epics. Epics are stories, usually of heroes and triumph and tragedy. And what if we were to experience our lives as epic, as an epic? As a magnificent story that's unfolding with all its tragedy and triumph. What if we could, in some way, depersonalize our story in order to um, see a bigger picture, to get a greater vantage point, to see it as one more in a myriad of expressions of life. So that's what we'll talk about today. And it should be fun. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here with us this morning. Before we get started talking about epics, these stories of our lives, let's take a couple minutes to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining stress, tension, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Robin. Wonderful to have you joining us this morning. So we're talking about epics, and really what I'm thinking about in having this conversation is the notion that each of us is starring in our own movie, so to speak. The thing about a movie, though, is that we're kind of given the script. We might write the script, but we're given the script, and then we dramatize it in our lives. And I'm wondering what might be available to us if we could stand back and recognize this epic story. What if life itself is the director and producer, and maybe our higher selves are the screenwriter, the story writer, and we go through our lives with all these tragedies and triumphs, and we experience our Achilles heels and our strengths and our overcoming of all kinds of obstacles and our dark night of the soul and our evolution and some of the stories end triumphantly and some of them end tragically, and but in the end, perhaps it's just one of a multitude of stories. And maybe we've set up our story in a perfect way to be able to express what we came here to express, whatever the the messages of the story. So I had the opportunity yesterday to speak with a very, very, very dear friend who I love and admire. And this person has been through so much, through the ringer in so many ways. And we were talking about how in that what could be perceived as these profound challenges, well, these profound challenges in life, what could be perceived as tragedies, so often hold the seed for our greatest expression, our greatest triumph. And there's just been this person. I'm trying to think about how I can represent this person without making them identifiable. This person is in the health industry and has made such a difference in the lives of people who have experienced illness, unwellness, that the medical profession just doesn't know how to address really it with effectively. And what has been remarkable is that the pathway to these the expertise and the innovations in this field came for them through their own odyssey, their own need to find solutions for ailments that they experienced that traditional medicine just didn't know how to address. I think that's probably the case for so many of us who are healer people, is that we have come into the realm of healing work because we have not found conventional remedies that alleviated our pain and suffering, so to speak. Anyway, the past couple of years have been just brutal for this friend. And what was beautiful and so telling about who they are is they said, I wouldn't have set it up any different. Of course, this is how I would set it up. If I were going to create my story, of course I would cultivate the tools that I needed to be able to address these crazy situations that presented themselves. Of course, I would make sure that I had a personal experience of the efficacy of these modalities, these processes, these approaches. And so even though this person had suffered some pretty intense debility, they recognized the function of that. They recognized the necessity of that in the context of their purpose and mission to be able to help others that would be suffering with similar kinds of challenges. So it's rather magnificent when we can be going through our struggles and recognize that we couldn't have designed it in any better way as a path to our greater expression. to as a pathway to our greater purpose and mission. And there's good morning. Is that Dido or Sue? Enlightened World Network. So good to have you here with us. We're talking about epics, our own personal epics. And hi Dido, so good to have you joining us. Welcome. We're talking about what would have been called a hero's story, or we can call a Shiro's story, that we just maybe, we're the authors of this incredible life that we're in. And we set up all these wonderful challenges, and that may be a sort of a lightweight way to describe these, because people have epic challenges in life, like real, like life-threatening challenges to face and overcome. Dido thought, or a heroic story. Yeah, I like that too. That works really well, actually. Heroic story. Usually these stories are stories of tragedy and triumph, or overcoming what may look like insurmountable odds, or overcoming difficulties in life. And the beauty of these stories is that it is that very difficulty, that very challenging, or that very challenge or challenges that hold the seeds of the authentic expression that we can have the opportunity to step into. Not everybody does. Sometimes we get just enmeshed in the darkness of it, and we're not able to fight our way through to the light. And so we don't necessarily gain the lessons, but in so many cases we do. And the seeds, it's not just the lessons, but the magnificence of the story that are the seeds are in the difficulty. And it's when we use that difficulty as the fertile soil from which to burst forth into this other dimension of expression, where we use that as the energetic momentum and catalyst to move into this other, from victim to victor kind of thing. Although it's not triumphing over someone else as much as it's triumphing over one's limitations, to use that constriction to create expansion. So Rubin says, yes, some new ways work, although if we look at some of the old ways to use that are healing. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about my friend with the medical things. Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of what we consider alternative approaches to medicine are actually steeped in very, very old traditions. So in many cases, it's going back to old ways that may have been lost or forgotten or superseded by newer medical paradigms. Anyway, I just see this pattern over and over again where it is our very difficult circumstances in life that become the seeds and the foundation for our evolution and magnificence and contribution to the world. So there was this other person that I did a session with that was so spectacular. Now, this person is accomplishing remarkable things in the world. And they had a deeply traumatic upbringing, living in a what they themselves termed a welfare hotel, mattress on the floor, springs coming out of the couch, roach-filled rooms that would scatter roaches when the lights turned on, just filth and squalor and danger. And what this person learned in that environment was to be hyper vigilant. And so many of us have had experiences with this necessity in a dangerous environment to be able to calibrate on a deeply intuitive level, even to be able to sense what's going on around us. So we're at high alert, to be able to recognize a threat even before it happens. So this person's environment was so profoundly dangerous that they actually developed incredible intuition. And they also, thankfully, were able to keep themselves from the worst of the danger. They never ended up being sexually abused, which is miraculous. They did face physical threats, but they navigated this situation with the art of a ninja. The only thing is that it had a cost, right? Because being in an environment that is a constant threat creates an attitude of deep suspicion, constant self-defense, lack of trust, pretty intense adrenal overwhelm, I would imagine. And so in this session, what was remarkable was that this person went back to the place where the danger had been the worst in their visualization. And rather than just seeing all the squalor and the darkness, what they saw was themselves as a child who was this brilliant ray of light that was navigating this incredibly dangerous environment like a superhero. And what came of that for them was that they recognized that indeed they were a superhero, and that this crazy, dangerous environment that they grew up in was a boot camp, pretty intense boot camp, but a training ground to allow them to know that they're invincible. And that's how they operate in life, pretty much, is that they can do anything, even though they were burdened by this deep sense of kind of anxiety, fear, danger, suspicion. And so as a result of seeing themselves as this kid who was incredibly capable within this environment, this beautiful flower in the midst of darkness. What shifted for them is they realized, hey, I have the skills. I know how to do this. I don't have to be afraid. I'm a superhero. And so the stress of all of that fell away in a miraculous way, with this recognition of, I've got this. And so now I can just like really relax into playing in life and being this badass superhero, unreservedly, with joy. So it was really, really exciting, and it was really fascinating to see the transformation in them when they recognized that this upbringing, rather than being something that was a tragic burden, became the seed of course, that's why I can do what I can do. And now I can do and be so much more even. So Robin says, learn from your challenges as a lesson, use these to share with someone else, to show their survival from our experiences. Yes, Robin, indeed. And actually not even just survival, but I say that those circumstances hold the seeds of our thriving. But what has to happen is there's this transmutation somehow where all of these things that were our devils and demons become the angels of awareness and triumph, where we get to transcend the darkness and into the light. So this is the heroic story, right? Where we start from victim to victorious, and not victorious over, but victorious in our fullest expression. So Rosalind says, we learn differently. The discomfort can be a catapult for transformation. Sit with the discomfort long enough so you don't run from one thing to another. Otherwise, it feels like flowing down the river, trying to grab onto something. Ways to feel safe in a threatening environment. Revise history. My superhero protected me from danger the way it knew how to. Yes, yes, and yes. And Rosalind, I love your the notion of being present to the discomfort so that we can discover what is at the root of it, what is underlying that is coming up to heal, what is available to us in terms of a transformation. And I also love that you said revise history, because the truth is, as I see it, okay, so again, that's maybe that's a little bit of a disclaimer, that there is no such thing as past and future. It all exists right here in this moment. So our recollections of the past, our remembering of the past, is us remembering, putting back together certain ideas, thoughts, feelings that we are bringing into this moment. So we all know that history, well, there's a saying, history is written by the victors, right? And we are going through a period right now where we keep seeing how history is being rewritten in so many ways, some ways to the betterment, to the side of greater verity, where we're learning not just rich white man history, but we're learning history of people of color and women and people who were not necessarily in the power positions. So there's more of that kind of history available to us. It was always there, right? But it's a very different way of remembering. So when we think of our own history, we're crafting a story. We're choosing selective moments to say who we are, who we've been. And they're very stylized perceptions. They're very limited perceptions of our history, right? We excerpt certain things and use that to create a narrative that we bring into this moment and then project forward into the future. Like who I am is, as if you could sum up who you are, who you've been through your life. Who you are really is more process than product. That's what life is. Life is a process. And as we move through the process of life, there's all kinds of changes that occur. Just like the process of a seed becoming a sapling, becoming a tree, becoming this magnificent part of a forest, right? It's a process. Life is a process. It's not a destination. And so when we think of our past, when we think of our story, when we think of our own personal epic, we get to make it up in a wide variety of ways. We can take all those instances and of our lives that we remember, and we can contextualize them in a multitude of ways. And that essentially is how we can rewrite history. We may have a memory of something, but that memory is not necessarily true. I can't say how many times I've had conversations with my mother, for example, or other family members about incidents that I recall that they have no recollection of, or that they recall that I have no recollection of. So what does that say about memory? What does that say about truth or history? To me, it says it's mutable. And through the work that I do with clients, we change history all the time. We change the experience and expression and representation of that history all the time. And realize that it exists in this moment. This is the only moment we have, this moment and this moment and this moment. And so with that, I'm going to call it a morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel, as well as my own Facebook pages, Mira Rubin. And as always, it is my pleasure and privilege to be spending this time with you. Robin says you bring forward positive, so the negative isn't repeated. Well, even the concept of positive and negative gets to be revisited. Dido says, thank you, Mira. Wonderful to have you back. Dido, it's so wonderful to be back. Truly, truly. This is such a gift to me as well. I hope it's as much a gift to you all as it is to me. Anyway, I am deeply, deeply grateful for this opportunity to be with you. And so until next time, so much love to you.